Summer is officially here, baby, and we can think of no better way to stay cool this summer than by giving back to others. On September 1st, Laura and I will be donating $1 for every rating and $2 for every written review on Apple Podcasts to a charity that you, our listeners, get to help us pick. Follow us on our socials at Impolite Society Podcast to find out more about how we're going to be picking our charity and to weigh in and let us know what charity you want us to support. But that's not it, because not only are you helping us help others, you also have a chance to help yourself. Not only are we going to be cutting a check to a charity on September 1st, we are also going to be choosing a written review at random to win a $50 gift card and some Impolite Society swag. So if you leave us a review, let us know by taking a screenshot and emailing it to us at rude@impolitesocietypodcast.com or slip it into the DMs of any of our socials. Fixing this messed up world is hard, but when you take a couple seconds to leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts, you can rest assured that you did something positive with your summer and you helped us improve the world $1 at a time. Thank you so much for listening. Now to the show.
You're listening to Impolite Society with Laura and Rachel.
I think my internet's good because my damn husband ain't home.
Yeah, fuck off, Dan.
Boy, bye. Go play your little volleyball. Go smack those balls around. We're happy for you. We're happy for you living your
some
life.
VBT, some volleyball torture.
That's what it's called when he steps on the court and plays the other team.
Oh,
Pow.
I bet he would love that volleyball torture.
He would. It would make his volleyballs excited to hear. Just buzzing with anticipation.
This is Impolite Society. We are the podcast where we tackle the taboo one rude question at a time. I'm Laura.
I'm Rachel.
You know what else I was thinking about? What are we going to call our listeners?
Rutabagas.
Rutabagas.
On the first Fan Friday.
Because I was trying to think of something the other day when I was like recording one of our mid-roll things, and I was like, "Hi, Impolite Societyers," and I'm like, "That's fucking stupid."
Hey, Impolite Societers, members of the Impolite Society members, Rudinators. I
feel like Impolite Society members is a little bit of a mouthful.
You smack it when it gets that mouthy.
ISM, Impolite Society members.
The isms.
The isms!
No.
Oh, I like that.
The isms. I would say the big talkers. No, just kidding. Nobody remembers Big Talk.
We do.
What about the whiners? Because they're always asking why.
Why? I don't think people appreciate being called whiners.
I like it. No, just kidding. I still like the rutabagas, but we'll simmer on it. Let it percolate.
All right.
In your brain.
Rutabaga.
The rutabagas.
I remember you saying rutabaga. I can imagine you saying it, but I don't remember
why. It was
why.
our army of elves in the North Pole.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about Santa.
Yeah,
Okay, I remember now. The rutabagas. All right, well, let us know, guys. Do you want to be rutabagas? Do you want to be isms? Do you want to be whiners? Let us know.
Wait, don't forget the rutinators. What about the ruminators?
Oh, I like that. Because that's what we do. We ruminate.
The musers. The
musers. All right.
We'll have to think on it. Let us know what you think. Of course, we got all the bullshits.
All the fucking socials. We got YouTube,
Facebook,
and Instagram,
TikTok,
Twitter, and then we got a website. I think that's all of them. Is that all the socials?
That's all of them. But you'll find it. You find out, and you tell us what you want to be called. Because if you're here, you deserve a name. Our army.
So what I wanted to talk about today, this was all kicked off because I went on my annual Branson trip about a month or so ago.
What the people need is a way to make them smile. Look up Branson. It's the Broadway of the Midwest.
Yeah, it's good old Missouri. So I went on this trip with my best friend and her husband. It's a group trip. We do it all the time.
Wait, is it a group trip because Charlotte went? Not just a couple's trip? Is she the fifth wheel?
Yeah, I guess so. It's usually a couple's trip, but now it's a group trip.
Now it's a group trip.
She's the awkward fifth wheel.
The cock blocker.
Truly. So my friend paid for the hotel room on her credit card, like she always does. She likes to rack up those sweet, sweet credit card points.
Ooh.
A couple of weeks after the trip, I was casually texting with her one night, and she texts me something. I don't remember what we were saying. We were just texting back and forth casually, and she was something like you haven't paid me back for the trip yet? ? Ha.
Oh.
We have that kind of friendship where we can make like little jabs at each other all the time. And I was like, holy shit. I was absolutely mortified because I had completely forgotten about it. So I'm scrambling. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to link my joint account to my Venmo in record time so I can pay her. But it takes like 24 hours. And I'm like, I'm trying to.
I bet she had a timer going. She was like, you were delinquent when I sent that text message. And then every millisecond after that, I'm accruing interest.
Exactly. So I was just apologizing profusely.
And you know, for every text message she sent you, which was one, she at least thought about you owing her that money 7 times.
Exactly.
Before she found the way to weasel it into the conversation.
Precisely. And so that got me thinking about money and friends and how awkward this all gets. I mean, Katie is my best friend. We trust one another explicitly. She knows I'm good for it, but it was just still super awkward. It was awkward for me because I broke that kind of social contract and had to be asked, which made me feel awful because I know it must have been super awkward for her to have to remind me.
And do it with such finesse. It sounds like she executed perfectly.
I mean, like I said, we've got this kind of relationship, and I was just like, ah.
You think this is awkward? Try planning a group bachelorette party out of state. You want to hear a lot of bitching about money, a lot of side conversations.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way to do it.
I had to hound people for the money for my friend's bachelorette party. It was fucking nightmare.
Turned
but
into
anyway.
A debt collector.
Yeah.
Ding,
I was
ding,
like,
ding.
One of them I really didn't like, so I was unabashedly like, I'm sorry, you owe me money. I was like, bitch, give me your $50 because I can't stand your ass.
Hey, no, my sister's still waiting on some money from a friend of mine's bachelorette party who decided to bail last minute but didn't pay.
How long ago was that?
How long was my bachelorette party? 5 years
ago?
Oh,
your bachelorette party. Oh, she ain't waiting on that money. That money gone.
Yeah. Jamie, if you want to pay up, pay up.
Hey, Jamie. So it's always super weird. And the question I kept coming back with was, why? And that's what we do here at Impolite Society. We ask why. Like an annoying 5-year-old. Why? Why did she feel awkward asking for the money that I owed her? Money that I knew that I owed her. And I wouldn't have any problem paying that back. Why was I so embarrassed, even though it was a brain fart that anybody could have?
Why are you trying to get a free vacation, Laura? That's the real question. Laura's like, what? I thought I paid that.
And I was thinking about it, and I even get weird about borrowing $1 from coworkers for the vending machine. Back when we were in the office, I was always like, you owe Chrissy $1, you owe Chrissy $1. So I keep saying it to myself so I don't forget. I don't want to be seen as a Welsher. And
yes.
I know this is a common topic because as I was doing the research, there were so many advice articles about how to casually slip it into conversation or, how to break your friend's leg in a dark alley for that fitty she owe you.
Jeez. But that reminds me, is this a weird time to talk about, the hosting fees for our podcast that we have?
I thought I Venmoed you for that. You have to tell me.
I haven't looked. I just was being a shit.
Every time I get the email, I try to Venmo for you.
I have like a nest egg in my Venmo account right now.
Yeah, you better look.
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like I send you like $10 like every other month.
Oh, well, money means nothing to me.
That actually was something that I thought about as I was doing this research. So that's a good spot for a little bit of a disclaimer because Rachel and I are very lucky individuals. We don't have to worry about money. So a lot of the time we are looking at this from the person who is doing the lending, not the lender-y.
Yes, we are the bank, not the borrower.
Yeah. And so that's kind of the attitude that we're taking through this. And as I was writing it out, I'm like, oh, am I being like a snotty little bitch?
Probably.
Maybe. Yeah.
I know I'm a snotty little bitch, especially when it comes to money. I'm like,
Yeah. So that's my little disclaimer. But my rude question today for you is, can lending money to a friend ruin your friendship?
Oh, that's a loaded one, because I've been on both sides, right? I think most people have. I'm far more comfortable being the lender. I actually have some experience being what'd you call it, a welch?
Yeah,
I called it
Welcher.
a mooch. When I was a kiddo and in high school, I was apparently borrowing money all the time. Can I get a quarter here? Can I get like a bite of your lunch there? I never had shit on me, apparently, or food either. And I mooched all the time, and then somebody called me a mooch, and I said, and so now I'm hyper aware of it. I don't like borrowing money for shit. I could be in the middle of the desert, and people would be like, hey, here's a vending machine, here's 75 cents to get a bottle of water. I'd be like, no. It makes me so uncomfortable to borrow money. I hate
You're in the
money.
same camp that I am, is that somewhere down the line, it was just like, nope. Don't want to do it. Like, I will do it, but like I said, I'm neurotic about it. I'm like, I owe that person $1. I owe that person $1. I owe that person $1.
But even with that neuroses, even with the neuroses, I still forget. If I do in the odd moment have to pay someone back, I forget. I owe people money. I have outstanding debts. So if you are listening to this and you owe me money, or maybe you're a prince in Nigeria that needs some money, let me know so I can atone for my sins and pay some folks back.
All right. Well, we're going to hop into the research here. But before we do, I already need a refill. How about you?
I do
finished my
too,
double.
because we talked for
perfect.
so long.
All right. So let's pause. We've got a message for you guys.
This is the next up-and-coming podcast. Check it out.
What's up, everybody? And thanks for taking the time out of your busy day to listen to us try and sell you on our podcast, The Reluctant Historian.
Wait, this is a history podcast?
Well, obviously, I'm a history teacher.
This isn't what I signed up for.
Okay. Well, Dakota, before you try and get out of this, let's just play the trailer, and I'll show you and the audience how you can both love and hate history to enjoy this podcast.
Fine, play the trailer.
If you love history, or you absolutely hate it, The Reluctant Historian is the podcast for you. I'm Liz, and I love history.
I'm Dakota, and history is the worst.
So come along with me as I try to convince my husband that history is actually cool. Each week, I tell Dakota a story from history, and he gives his unapologetic thoughts and opinions on it.
If you're like me and can never sit through a history lecture without dozing off, I make sure to interject with a joke every chance I get. It's mostly to entertain myself, but if you like the joke, that's just a bonus.
So, let me teach you and my husband about Norse mythology and how it differs from the Marvel universe, if Rasputin actually did love a Russian queen, and how dogs aren't actually descended from werewolves, much to Dakota's disappointment.
And let me show you the challenges that come with agreeing to be on a show where I tell my wife if the story she told me was good or crappy. Am I gonna sleep on the couch tonight?
So tune in to The Reluctant Historian every Wednesday wherever you get your podcasts to find out.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to listen to that show in its entirety.
Yeah, think about downloading that podcast, guys, and let them know that Impolite Society sent you.
Well, it's not personal. We just don't know what episode. We don't know what podcast is going to be put in here yet. I'm sure whatever one that's coming is great, and we're excited to work with you. We
Don't
just
know what that is.
That wasn't a dig on you. That was a dig on us not knowing what podcast we're putting in.
All right, well, we're cutting all that shit out.
Oh, no, I'm keeping it. I thought it was funny.
All right, so the research. Can lending money to a friend ruin your friendship? Well, I can tell you, if you Google lending your friends money, the first 1.2 million articles will tell you, don't do it.
So a few, I guess,
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
Just a couple, or the entirety of the internet. And I can tell you they've got some pretty impressive stats to back it up. According to bankrate.com, one of their surveys, 46% of adults who lent money to friends or family did not have a positive outcome. They had a pretty bad outcome.
So that's how we would have said in the Snooping on Your Significant Other podcast, a toins cost, which is how I pronounce coins toss like 7 times.
Toins toss.
Drinking. But no, it's truly 50-50. If you lend somebody $1 for the vending machine, there's no way to know if it's going to end well or not.
Absolutely. 37% in this survey said that they had lost their money. Notice that this is different than the previous one. Negative outcome, 46% said negative, but 37% said they lost their money. There's a 10% discrepancy there between people who did get their money back and still had a negative outcome. So we're going to dig into that.
Well, it's stressful to confront people.
And 21% experienced a damaged relationship with the borrower.
Yeah, Jamie.
And another survey, this one for Bank of America, which I don't know that I trust Bank of America, giant conglomerate bank, but hey, they showed that more than half of consumers had seen a friendship end over money that was owed to them. So a little bit different, but more than half. So, back to your coin toss there.
I'm going to cost some toins today.
77% of Americans believe that IOUs are harmful to friendships. And more than 2 in 5, which is about 43% of Americans.
Math? We can do math.
They would be willing to end a friendship for not paying them back.
I feel like that is a lot of gray area because a couple dollars here and there, buying a dinner, nobody gets you back, that's a lot different than like, I'm going to spot you a down payment for a house.
Yes, and that's the next thing that I was going to say. I'm going to assume that these stats are for something a little bit more substantial than $1 for the vending machine or the cost of a cup of coffee at Starbucks. I'm going to assume this is in the hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars variety.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I could see where it would literally eat at you until you could not see that person anymore. But hundreds of dollars, I don't know if I would end a friendship over that, or that seems very extreme.
I think it depends on the scenario. Survey respondents also said that having to ask a friend to pay them back is second only to forgetting someone's name as their most uncomfortable situation.
I fully believe in that because I have agonized over asking someone for money back or like, hey, do you remember? I probably just let it go, honestly. That's what I mean. I'm part of that 37% because I'm going to be like, I maintain the status norm. I don't want to piss anybody off, so I'm not going to go out of my way. How long do you think your friend Katie spent typing that text out, deleting it, retyping it, deleting it, retyping it to get it just right, where it was the bright balance of joking and also like, hey, bitch, get on it?
Yeah, exactly. And I actually had that situation recently where I completely blanked on a pretty good friend's name at like a social engagement where I was trying to introduce him, and I was like, oh, fuck. And so that just maybe it makes me wonder, am I going senile and forgetting to pay people and forgetting people's names?
I would say so.
Yeah, I'm losing it.
No, I have 2 thoughts. How is this person a good friend of yours? You don't know his name.
That's what I'm saying. I do know his name. I just totally fucking blanked.
And then, the flip-flop is, it's the pandemic. You haven't seen anybody in so long. You forgot how social mores work. You don't even know what. Do I shake with my right or my left hand?
What's your name? How do I know you? Are you my mommy?
Yeah. Do I like whisper in your ear when I say hello, or do we like knock elbows? It's all very confusing post-COVID.
Definitely.
How much tongue is too much tongue?
Never enough.
For a friend greeting.
For a hello friend kiss.
For a healthy heterosexual friend relationship.
And similar, no, I was going to try
similar
to make a
to the heterosexual
tongue. Nope. And it's not just asking for our money back that we hate. It's talking about money in general. There was a survey by eMoney Advisor in 2019, and they surveyed a bunch of U.S. adults. 57% admitted to purposefully avoiding talking money with their friends. And this, again, got that why brain going, is what is this all about? Why aren't we allowed to talk about it? And we touched on this in our kind of pay episode, so I don't want to retread any ground.
Which isn't published anymore. But
Okay.
we'll leave that little secret to hang out there. Eventually, we'll make a Patreon. And if you want to listen to our pay episode, HR, you're going to have to pay for it.
I think, but actually, one of the things that we did talk about in this episode was about money and worth, and about if your salary is equal to what you're worth in life. And that kind of comes back to my research here. So why don't we like to talk about it? I mean, we've been told that we're not supposed to. That comes from our parents. I mean, one time as a kid, I asked my dad how much he made, and he was like, oh, he was so shocked. And he told me, he's like, you don't ask people that. And I'm like, you're my dad. You're not people. Okay.
I'm pretty sure I had similar conversations where I was like, how much? I was just genuinely concerned about the family. I mean, like, where are we at? What's going on?
What's your 401k look like, mom and dad?
I only have one working parent, which that should tell you enough about my financial security. I said I had a stay-at-home mom. But yeah, I think my parents hid it because A, they're old-fashioned like that. They just don't talk about it. And B, they just didn't want us to know how comfortable we really were. They were trying to trick us into thinking we were poor.
Yeah, but like you would have any concept as a kid. You know what I mean? If your parents told you they made like $50,000, you'd be like, that is so much money.
Truly.
You know what I mean? Yeah, kids have no idea. There was another article that I read that I think really nailed it about money. Money is very revealing. How we think about money can really tell people a lot about you. It's about your personality,
Definitely.
your insecurities. Tell people your social class, how impulsive you are, how generous or how stingy you are.
They can tell you all that, but in different ways. Like your income or your salary will tell you your social class. But your 401k can tell you about your impulse control or your ability to ration. And it's such an important part of life. And it's hard. Managing money is hard. Earning money is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to figure it all out. So I think, there is a lot of ways that cookie can crumble. And I think it's kind of true.
Yeah, I mean, money is a symbol of who we are, and it's a tool to get what we need and want out of life. And there was a quote that I really liked. I don't remember what article it was from, but we'll link it in the show notes. At its core, how we view money is about values and how those values motivate our behavior. I think that is a really great synopsis of money, and one of the reasons it's so complicated. So we hate talking about money with people, even our closest friends, but we love our friends. We care about them. So you might consider loaning a friend money, despite all of the Google articles that you saw that told you don't fucking do it, because humans, God bless us, we aren't that smart. We aren't very logical. We let our hearts guide us.
Listen to your heart when it's telling you to cut the check. Listen to the heart. It's just a friendship you might wreck.
What is that even from? Is that Beauty and the Beast?
No, it's a song called Listen to Your Heart. It was big with the young people in the year, probably like 2003.
I must have missed that one.
It's okay. You were filling out your AARP at that time.
Thanks, Rachel. So, like age jokes, it ruins friendships, as we know. All right.
I'm sorry.
Money ruins friendships, as we know from Google. And that is even if it's paid back. That is that 10% discrepancy that we talked about at the top. Why? And I think that there's a lot of different reasons for this, but here's a couple that I came across in my research. Is that one, it changes the dynamics of your relationships. If you've lent somebody money, or if you are the one receiving the money, there's now a power dynamic that wasn't there before. You aren't the two peas in a pod. One is now the debtor, the other the creditor. There is a have and a have not. You've changed how you two relate to one another.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to exactly what you said with the have and the have not. You've established the social class difference, or the economic class difference between you and your friends, which is something that I think we all face at some point in our life, because we've had friends that we've known since childhood, that we've met in high school, that we met in college, and we're all on different trajectories. Not saying we're all not going to end up in the same mass affluent space, because, like, look at the baby boomers. Dear God, you can just accidentally become a millionaire if you're a baby boomer. You know, let's hope we all make it to that by the time we're 60. But we all have different paces.
Yeah.
And so, especially at the time of life that we're both in, you know, we're in a very diverse economic status time of our lives. I'm in my late 20s, you're in your mid 30s, and some people are just starting their career when they're our age. Some people are finishing their career at our age, like me, fingers crossed. We're hoping to retire in a couple of years. Not credibly, by the way. Don't think that I'm that rich, listener. I'm literally just gonna quit.
No, I that was another thing that I looked at in the research, is about keeping friends in different socioeconomic classes. You all start out at the same, but things diverge and things can get really tricky. So when you lend someone money, you're really putting that on display. Like, everyone is aware of it.
Yes.
Nobody is oblivious to those differences. It's not a hard thing to figure out. But once you've lent money, it's there for all to see, and there's a debt to be paid.
And it's very much like a flex, too,
Yeah.
right? Even when you're out with friends and who picks up the tab, there's a difference between one person getting it versus splitting it by what you got versus splitting it 50-50,
Yeah.
right? Each of those have its own kind of level that say something about the success of where you are. And in my life, there's times where I go out with friends that I don't pay, and there's times where I pay for everything. And it's all about, I don't want to say flexing, because it's not showing the other person up,
But
but it's
people
literally
notice.
paying them for their time.
Yeah, I mean,
because
people
we like them.
People notice, you know. I mean, like, I'm not yet at the point in my life or career that I've ever picked up a tab for a large group of people. You know what I mean? Like, where there's a group of 6 couples, and I'm like, oh, I'll get this. And I've never done that, nor has anybody else ever done that for me as a friend group. But we will say, oh, we'll split this 3 ways. You know, 3 couples. Nobody itemizes shit anymore. What we've realized is that we all spend about the same amount of money. 4 drinks,
Well,
appetizer,
truly.
dessert. You know, it's all the fucking
Well,
same.
when somebody's like watching it, that's when I feel like we need to itemize. But I have done that before, where I've picked up the tab and
yeah, you were flexing, bitch.
Oh, I was, and it's not what you think. It was literally like a month after I graduated college, and I was hanging out with college students, and I bought everybody Domino's at like 1 in the morning.
That's Domino's.
And I was like,
that's not like a real meal.
making it rain. No, but that's one of the times where I've bought some food or something for a group of people, and I did it to make myself feel cool, because I was like, don't worry, I have a job. That job was paying me $28,000.
Yeah, but a pizza for like 2 a.m. was like, what, $40?
That's considerable. And mid-Missouri.
Maybe. All right. But I'm hearing what you're saying, that things get a little bit sticky.
And when people make a big deal out of picking up the tab,
Yeah,
that's also,
embarrassing.
that's embarrassing for everybody in the situation. Like what
It
I
really
did
is.
when I paid for that Domino's. I was like,
No. Put your dollar bills and quarters away. I've got this.
I was like,
pizza
oh, you guys
tab.
want a side? I'll get a side. I'm man of money now that I've worked for 5 days.
Do you want some extra dipping sauce? Because I could totally do that, guys. So another reason that things get weird is now that money changes hands between friends, you are not going to be able to not notice their spending habits. You will just have a laser focus on what they are now doing with their money. So when you see them buying a nice dinner, oh, you can afford that, but you can't afford to pay your rent that I had to loan you. Or you see them buying those nice clothes and you're like, oh, well, they weren't able to pay their medical bill, but they can go out and buy these nice clothes. You will scrutinize all of their purchases and start to project your value system onto them. And social media makes that even worse because, you can see not what they're just doing in front of your eyes, but what they're doing when they're not around you.
Preach. And especially because social media is just a way to kind of humble brag, right? It's about projecting an image. Yeah, it's about pretending you have more money than you do. Like, that's literally, I've been guilty of that, right? On social media. I felt like I've tried to do that in the past. But not only can you see that, you can also. How do people exchange money these days? It's not
Venmo. You
Venmo.
can see what people are doing.
Why the fuck is anything public on Venmo?
That
I
is such
always-
a weird aspect. It's so fucking weird, which is
It's
why I don't understand
so
why Venmo got
weird.
popular. Give me PayPal. Nobody can see that shit. I don't know.
Oh, somebody just paid my friend an hour ago. Burning up fire. What the fuck
What
does
am
that
I-
mean?
What am
Pizza,
I? See, it's
car.
funny that you did that because a coworker told me, she's like, "Do you ever look on Venmo and creep on people?" And I'm like,
yes.
"No." Yeah, it never even occurred to me to do it, but she was like, "I'm nosy and I like it," and I'm like, "I
Oh.
get it."
I just scroll through. Rosé all day. Was I there for that day?
You're like, was I invited? See, that's what would be a me thing. I'd be like, why wasn't I invited to Rosé all day? But really, when you look at their social media or looking at their spending habits, should it really be that shocking? Because if they were great with money, they wouldn't have to ask you for money, would they?
Ooh.
That's the awkward, honest question there. But it's human, right? We're projecting our value systems onto them, so we are really focused on what they're doing, which is really none of our business.
Yeah, that's 100% true. And I've never looked at it from that perspective, because if I was to loan someone something, I would almost expect them to live like I do, right? And I think that that's exactly what you're saying, is that we project, if my money, my resources are given to you, I'm going to expect you to spend them like I do.
Exactly. And that's not realistic, especially if there's somebody who spends a little bit more freely, which is why they're in this situation in the first place.
Truly. But it'd still be really hard to see money I gave to somebody else used to buy sushi or something like that.
It would be difficult. Or to see them buy sushi with their money when they use my money to pay their rent or whatever the case may be. Yeah,
Exactly.
Another thing is jealousy. This is another reason that ruins friendships. And we kind of touched on it before with friends at different earning levels can be really stressful. If you're going out to eat every weekend, you're racking up the drinks tab, you're going to a spin class 3 times a week, and your hot yoga on Saturday at $35 a pop, and your friends are struggling to make their ends meet, that's going to be hard on everyone. It's going to be, I think, hardest on the person who doesn't get to do those things, but it's also going to be hard on you because as the higher earner, because you're not going to be able to have your friends tag along with you and do the things that you want to do. You might also feel bad about money. They might think that you think you're better than them. And it's just a fraught situation.
It really is a minefield that you're tiptoeing through, because there are some events that we want to go to. Dan and I did, pre-COVID. We don't want to do anything anymore. We just want to stay inside. But I mean, there were some things that we wanted to go to that we did not go to because we were like, there's nobody we could ask to shell out this ticket price.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been there before with friends where there were things that I wanted to do like as a group and I was like, this is not going to fly. And that's kind of one of the shitty things and the great things now about not having very many friends is that they are like, we're all in the same bubble and I can ask any of them, like, want to go blow a shit ton of money at Blood and Sand this weekend? Let's go.
And then you see that's a vicious cycle, right? Because people kind of self-select the folks who can keep up with the experiences or what they want. But then we're constantly being told we need to have a diverse friend group. We need to have, differing perspectives. But you can see how people fall into the trap of only hanging out with people who are very similar to them, because those are the same people who can do the same things that they want to do, or the things that they can afford to do. And that goes back to what makes money so tricky in general.
Absolutely. In short, all of that to say, money makes shit weird between people, and lending money can make shit even weirder and can potentially ruin a friendship. But if you want to do it anyways, which, like I said at the top, people, they're friends. We love them. We care about them. We want to help. There's a bunch of tips and a bunch of different listicles. But I'm going to give you the only tip that you're going to need. Don't lend, give.
Amen. That is exactly what I was thinking as we were talking through this. If your trip to Coachella is not going to be complete without your friend who is a barista at Starbucks, extend that ticket to them as a gift. Say hey, I want you to come with me. And because that's going to make your experience.
Yeah. And don't expect to be paid back. I mean, if they say that they will, great, but don't count on it. Don't be like, oh, where's my money, or watching their spending. Just get that bar really fucking low and be like, they're not going to pay me back. They say that they will. Say, okay, great. You know, if you can, that's great. And then be surprised when they do. And that goes for your trip to Coachella, as well as, you know, somebody who might need help with rent or childcare or medical bills or whatever situations that come up in life. If somebody has asked you for money, don't lend it, give it to them, and be surprised when they give it back.
And I think that's actually a good way to, if you're going to flippity flop that, when you're proposed or when you're in the situation where you're thinking about it, think, would I give this? Is this a gift that I would give? And if it isn't, then don't give them the money, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to get it back. So maybe that would save some relationships. We have the research about money lending and how it's ruining relationships. We don't have any data. We don't have any data on what happens when somebody asks for money and they don't get it, right? So we don't know if that's less likely or more likely to ruin your friendship. But if you can't get over the fact of just gifting that person the money, like, I would not lend them, quote unquote, the money.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the amendment to that. Don't give any more than you can afford to lose. You know, you wouldn't gift somebody a gift that you would not be able to afford. You know, and so that's the idea. Don't lend more than you can afford to lose. And when you don't lend it, gift it.
I can gift my friends a couple drinks at the bar. I cannot gift anybody rent right now. I need that. I need that to buy my freedom from corporate America. Talk to me in 20 years, maybe.
Yeah.
If the stock market keeps up the way it's going.
Which hopefully it will. Cross his fingers. But in all the articles I read, there was a bunch of stuff about, like, get it in writing, start a payment plan, pay the money to the money of the person that they owe and not the person, so they don't go blow it somewhere else. And I was just like, this is all fucking nonsense. Like, the stats back you up on this. You are probably not getting that money back. And so why would you want to fuck all this up with a repayment plan and putting it in writing and all this shit?
Just opens the door, in my opinion, to more anxiety in the friendship. Absolutely. Right? Instead of just being like, here's $200, pay me back when you can. Yeah. Being like, well, I need $10 every other week for 8 whatever week, however many amount of weeks. Like, that's just going to set you up to be in a lot of fights and, like, create a lot of tension when every time the payment is due, you message them. They're like, hey, where's your payment? Where's your payment? Come on, where's your Go to me. That's horrible.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Nobody wants to be in that situation, either side. Every time I get a bill in the mail, I'm like, fuck you.
I'm like, oh, great, more bills.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Who told you I live here? Anyways. But I could see where that would really damage a relationship, even if the intentions were good on both sides.
Absolutely. And there's another hot tip. I read this article that says that people are more generous with money that they haven't received yet. So if you're looking to hit your friends up for money, do it before their big bonus check comes through. Get them to commit, because they're more likely to commit before the money hits their bank account.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know. That's good to know.
All right. So we unpacked a little bit about money, how it makes shit weird, some tips around lending people money. But now we're going to go into our musing section. All right. So some of my musings questions here. Does how you spend your money say something about you as a person?
100%. I am the most judgmental money bitch you will ever see, because I fully, like, money is not just something you can exchange for goods and services. It is literally your ticket to freedom in our capitalist society, where you have to sell your time for sustenance, right? To be able to live. Money is more than that. It's more than buying drinks or buying food or buying what you want. It's literally how you buy your time back. And that's when you're able to take the money you make and you make it make more money. Mm-hmm. That's probably a little bit heavier than what we intended to get into in this conversation.
I think that's good.
But if you heard me talk about self-care, you can probably guess that I am not very frivolous with my money.
So then what does that say to you then about somebody who isn't as frugal with their money? What does that tell you about that person?
I have better impulse control. I have more delayed gratification, the ability to delay my gratification. I am a long-term thinker, and I also really hate working. Because if you have a job that fails you, then you probably don't care about retiring quickly as much as somebody who's like, I'm here for the paycheck.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that how you spend your money does say something about you as a person, but maybe not the same way that you think of it.
Oh, yeah. I'm being very Spartan. I think there's a lot more areas of gray there.
Yeah, like I spend my money. I mean, I'm a saver. I'm not as much of a saver as you are. I mean, I think that you know that from our friendship.
Because we are insane.
We spend a good amount of money, my husband and I. We like to go out to eat. I like to buy clothes and things that I like. I like to enjoy my money. But we also save. We have that ability that we're able to do both. I don't save as much as you, but I see it as like a cost benefit analysis because there's a good chance I'm not going to make it to retirement because I could walk across the street tomorrow and get fucking mowed over by a semi. Like, you do not know what's coming.
I would say the odds are in the favor of you living because look at this. Look at the data. Look
they
at the
are
stats.
in favor.
People are living longer and longer.
But you don't know what life is going to bring to you, which is why I'm not spending every cent that I make.
You are not the exception. You are the rule. That's my wisdom. My words of wisdom.
You are probably right, but I am not going to delay all the gratification in my life because I don't know what's coming next. And I think that there is a point between spending every cent you make like there's no tomorrow and saving every cent you make like there will definitely be a tomorrow. I think that there's a middle ground between there.
Yes, and I would say you are in the majority on that, and most people are in that field where I think it does, how you spend the money is what really tells you about your values right? If you're spending it all on Taco Bell because you drove by a Taco Bell and you saw a Taco Bell and you were like, I fucking want some Taco Bell.
Man, you'd have to buy a lot of Taco Bell to clean out your bank account.
Well, I don't know. I don't drive by any Taco Bells on my commute, but some people might. I think that middle ground you speak of is about making informed purchases, right? Things that you really want, things that will contribute to your happiness, knowing what makes you happy and what doesn't,
Yes.
and then buying the things that will contribute, like that you said, the cost benefit of a model. Whereas, like, I think the thing that will make me the happiest is not getting up at 5:50 every morning for work. So that's why I'm spending all the money on that.
I'm not going to say that I have great impulse control because I don't know that I do. I think I have moderate to poor impulse control, but like the things that I impulsively spend money on are not expensive. They're small, stupid things. Like if anything's expensive, I'm like, oh, anything that's also going to stick around. I don't like a lot of stuff. So like, I don't like stuff to like clutter my house. So I don't want to buy a lot of stuff, but I do buy a lot of food.
Yes, food.
Consumables, because they will make me happy the second they touch my tongue. They will make me happy. And that is what I am investing in. I am investing in my happiness.
Exactly. That's why I will spend $10,000 on rentals over the past 4 years, but I will not buy clothes myself.
There you go. That's a great example. You get the thrill of wearing it, but
novelty.
Exactly. That makes you happy, but you return the clothes. You have nothing to show for it, but it doesn't matter because you were paying for your happiness or your thrill.
Yeah, the fun of it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to bleep that name out too, so they don't get no free shit. I'll send them an email. I'll be like, hey, bleep, we talked about you on my podcast. Yes. Yeah. I think it does say something about you. I think it doesn't say anything about how good you are of a person. I think it just tells you about your natural inclinations.
Yeah. That makes sense. And speaking of our natural inclinations, do you think part of our reluctance to talk about money does it come from some evolutionary biology leftover of wanting to fit in, of this idea of sameness, is that we don't want to differentiate ourselves from those around us?
There is something to it. I don't know if it's so evolutionary biology.
Or social psychology.
I think it's more social psychology
Yeah.
because whose heads were rolling on the guillotine? The rich.
Mhm.
What's written on an overpass that I drive under on the way to work every day? Eat the rich. And I think that we want, especially in America, we want to appear. This is probably vastly different in Europe. I feel like there's more like social classes stuff there and in other cultures. But in our culture, we want to be the everyman. In America, you want to be the American dream, the person who works their way up from nothing, the person who has earned their status in society. And if you don't feel like you have, or if you're around people who are in that process or working on that, or that's their aspiration, you want to appeal to them. I find myself in situations where I'm with people who I know are of a little bit lower income bracket than I am. I will play that part too, because I don't want someone to be like, oh, well, there's a bougie bitch, even though I am such a boozy bitch. Bougie and boozy.
I think that's interesting because I kind of had the opposite thought, that of America versus other countries, because it's Americans that really don't like to talk about money. That's kind of what we're known for. And in my research, they were looking at other countries like China or Indonesia and that kind of thing, that they don't have these kind of taboos because there's not a huge income disparity. There is some, obviously, there's stratas, but in general, there's not such a gamut. In America, we have this huge spread and we all interact with one another. When you go to the gas station and when you go to a restaurant, and we all interact with one another. We're not up in some freaking ivory tower. In other countries, they can be more open to talk about that because they have less spread there. In America, we don't want to reveal our differences. Yeah. Like you said, you play that card because you want to fit in with who you're with. But because of that, you try not to talk about money because you know that that's going to set you apart.
Well, definitely. And it's such an interesting situation, right? Because social media is going to be so different than how you are in person, because everybody on social media is trying to act like they are living this ideal lifestyle. And that often, in America, that includes being rich. That includes having a lot of money. But if you take that same person, even if they are rich, even if they are rich pretending to be a mega rich person, and you put them in a group of people who are blue collar, making in that kind of range, they're still good. They're not
going to talk about the case of Dom Perignon that they bought that weekend.
Yeah.
Because they know that would be fucking tactless.
You have to be an idiot because not only is it tactless, but they're just not going to like you. And I mean, humans want to be liked.
Yeah, absolutely. And
so then the risk that comes with it is the risk of having people find out you're truly not like them. And what's a better way to indicate that than you being able to spare money that somebody else couldn't pull together? And that leads us back to the rude question at the top of the episode.
Yeah. Can lending money to a friend ruin your friendship? And I think the answer, different than most of our answers, it depends. We have an answer. It's yes. It can absolutely ruin your friendship. It is fraught with pitfalls left and right.
Yes, because not only is it going to affect the way that you see your friend, the way that you monitor their spending and how they interact with the world, but it could also just kind of clue people into the differences in our social classes here in America, our financial classes, and our socioeconomic classes, that might make somebody think differently of you in the long run, or make you think differently of your friends.
Yeah, it's going to highlight the differences in ways that you may never have thought about before. So I'm just going to point back to our hot tip. It's just don't lend, give. If you can give it, and be pleasantly surprised if you get the money back, but don't expect it, because if you expect it, if you're going to put that laser focus on what they're doing, you're just going to ruin everything.
Well, that's it. There you go. Write that down in your books. We actually landed on a real answer for once.
I don't know. It depends. That's our normally our
Life is
answer.
complicated. And don't get me wrong, there's a fair amount of that because there's probably some situations where this absolutely works for people. And that's great. And but that's probably because they're thinking of it as a gift as opposed to a loan.
Or I was thinking about this, like if I had a friend that I knew was financially responsible and something fucking bonkers came up and they needed like a large amount of money, I'm talking thousands of dollars. If I trusted that person, I would absolutely give them that money. Or, I'm sorry, lend them that money because I couldn't afford to lose it. But if I knew that they would do everything they could to pay me back, I would probably do it. I know it, even though all the research says no, but if I've got some friend who's just like known for not being good at managing money, oh no, I'm not going to give you money.
Well, your definition of good at managing money isn't necessarily, again, when you put the word good to it, it connotates morals, where it's just like if their values around money correlate to your values of money.
There you go.
Then,
that's a good way to put it.
Then you would feel more comfortable making them that loan. And also knowing the level of commitment too, because friends come and go. Like that's something we've talked about.
Yeah.
I have no qualms about loaning family money, and I know that my husband does not feel that same way.
It's tricky. Money is tricky across the board. I think this podcast is probably very revealing about you and me and about how we both think about money. Normally we're throwing taboos at the window, but this one we're like, I don't know. So I think it goes to show.
Yeah, definitely. So this is probably, oh my gosh, are we getting the most uncomfortable we've ever been with taboos?
Maybe a little bit. We've talked about anal sex. We talked about BDSM. We talked about all kinds of crazy shit, but this is the one we're like,
and that just speaks to how important this is. Money in our society is even worse than having a dick up your ass.
It's tricky dicky. All right, guys. Well, that wraps it up for this episode. Let us know what you think. Send us an email, rude@impolitesocietypodcast.com, or on any of our socials of 1 in a billion. Give us a shout out. Let us know what you think. Also, send us your rude questions. We would love to tackle them in our monthly Fan Friday episodes.
And as always, download, rate, and review. Thank you so much for listening. Your time is valuable, and we are so grateful that you choose to spend it with us.
Spending money. Ching, 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 ching.
Ka-ching.
Is this ka-ching? Is this drums or perhaps the pounding of creditors at your door?
What happened to that 75 cents I gave you for that Gatorade the other day? I gotta go because I gotta hide from them.
All right, guys. See you later.